it's very interesting. I mean, climate change is a key risk in the Asia Pacific markets, and it's one that investors, I think, are becoming increasingly aware of, and we see a lot of regulatory focus on climate as well across the region. Now, I think traditionally there's been a perception that addressing climate risk in the portfolio is largely about divesting from some of the more carbon-intensive industries and from the fossil fuel companies, for example. Having said that, some of the really exciting investment opportunities are linked to the solutions that are going to be required in driving that transition to a low-carbon economy. And I think in the last 12 months, we've certainly seen a lot of focus on some of the green solutions that are becoming more interesting for investors. So, for example, renewable energy is an obvious segment that investors want to allocate to. Transport solutions, whether that's new energy vehicles or battery-driven or hydrogen solutions, I think are also becoming, something that investors really want to have exposure to in their portfolios. But having said that, the green economy and the solutions that are needed as part of that transition are significantly broader than simply sort of the obvious sectors that everybody is aware of. This is something that we're doing a lot of work on at FTSE Russell in terms of understanding the exposures to the green economy and what that means across a really broad range of segments. And from our own research, we know that the listed green industries count for about $4 trillion of market cap, and that's growing and it's catching up with some of the major industry segments, but it's also starting to outpace the traditional fossil fuel industry market cap as well. So particularly in Asia, I think we see a lot of opportunity for some of these segments, but also appetite from investors. And, as we transition away from a carbon intensive world, we're really going to have to find and allocate to the solutions that are going to replace some of those more traditional means of generating energy. And I think this is where investors need to sort of start thinking about how they prepare their portfolio for that and thinking about getting in on those opportunities at an early stage. We've already seen a lot of allocations to some of those strategies in the last 12 months, but there's still plenty of scope for growth. And if you look at the way that some of the larger economies in Asia Pacific are scaling up their focus on implementing those solutions in a very real world, from a very real world perspective, and in having to drive more allocation and capacity for renewable energy, for example, you'll see that there's still a long way to go. That means the opportunities are still there. There are also a lot of economies, or a number of important economies in Asia Pacific that have made pledges to achieve net zero carbon emissions by certain dates, largely by 2050 for many of them, or 2060 in the case of China. So to deliver on those objectives, they're really going to have to make sure that the solutions are implemented. And that does mean that there's going to be a lot of focus on those segments over the next few years, and I think going into the future as well. So becoming cognizant and familiar with those segments is going to be really important for investors.